This week at What Did You See at WCSSRG, I've got a supercar with my name on it. We also have boos and jeers at commencement ceremonies over AI. A former Microsoft VP thinks Microsoft missed the AI wave. Panthalassa may be a solution to AI data centers. And the California governor is considering a tax on software as a service. So let's start with the boos and jeers at several commencement ceremonies. So at U of A, we had Eric Schmidt giving a commencement speech to the students there. Made some mention over AI. Won't get into specifics, but the crowd there of students didn't like it. Same thing with Gloria Caulfield at University of Central Florida. Seems like the overall sentiment from the student population entering the workforce right now isn't terribly AI friendly, and I think that leads to a lot of sentimental disagreement with respect to how AI is going to be adopted in the workforce. We'll see how that works out in the next 2 to 8 years-ish as things progress in the AI space. Let's talk about tax on software as a service. So the California governor is looking at implementing sales tax on SaaS. The brief snippet that I saw said something along the lines of, hey, it's not fair. If you buy software at a big box company, you're paying sales tax on it. You should be paying sales tax if you download the stuff. So, look, this is a revenue opportunity for the state. Politics aside, maybe there's a case to be made. I think the bigger issue here is going to be more back to the AI side of the house. What are software companies going to do from a licensing perspective when they see that enterprises are consuming fewer software licenses because they've delegated a lot of tasks out to AI and they aren't, having the same level of human resources that are consuming these SaaS licenses or software licenses as they used to. So I think we'll see one of two things, if not both. We'll see perhaps that tax comes into play on more of the services space, as California has done before on services. And I think that you'll probably see a price adjustment in terms of what software licensing looks like with respect to AI licenses and human licenses. So we'll probably see that coming in. More AI. Former Microsoft VP thinks that Microsoft missed the AI wave. And look, commentary here, they said just like the internet, which search, just like mobile, whatever. Microsoft has a great opportunity to be a huge innovator in this space. And I think that, a former VP dunking on them is one thing. And, maybe there's some retrospect, but at the end of the day, you're a company that big, you've got areas to innovate in, and you've got things that you can win in. Copilot was one of those things and one of those areas that just didn't seem to work out that great. I think that the Azure stack in and of itself seems to be relatively solid, and it's a great foundation to build upon. But, maybe for the consumer level, that's where they're speaking of. Panthalassa, I saw a video about this organization. They've got a product that's in pilot right now, the Ocean 2. It looks like if you're familiar with the Scripps research platform Flip, the boat that goes out and goes bloop, and then sits that way. They've got for lack of a better word, a giant buoy that goes out. Maybe it's 80 to 100 yards long-ish, but it bobs up and down in the open ocean. And the concept is it's got little to no moving parts in this, and it generates electricity. So awesome, right? So what do you do with something like that if you have to drop it out in the open ocean? I think the concept is pretty clear here. We've already taken the concept of underwater data centers for cooling and heat management and plopped them down. I think it's kind of scaling that out and scaling out these buoys and such, or these platforms, generating a bunch of power for these underwater data centers way out in the middle of nowhere where they're not going to bother anybody. And getting them off of land here that can be better utilized elsewhere, and really kind of taking advantage of ocean currents and constant temperatures and stuff to manage these undersea data centers. In an application that doesn't necessarily latency intensive, that's high compute, kind of seems like it makes sense. So we'll see what happens from a durability perspective. We'll see what happens from a longevity, and hopefully for them the proof of concept works out. I'm really excited to see what happens there. And finally, there's a supercar with my name on it. Very happy about that. So Brabus released the Bodo. That's my last name, so you don't get to see that too often. While I wish I can say they did it in my honor, that was in fact one of their founders' first name. So he'll have to share that name of that car with me. So in any case, that was my attempt to one-shot this. What did you see with WCSSRG? Let me know down below in the comments what I missed, what you want to see next week, and I'll try to do my best at this low-tech format. Again, take care. Bye.